Hi guys, here is very fascinating and interesting story that will struck a chord with you. If you like it, like and comment a video and subscribe to our channel. The Axelon war vessels materialized from the frigid expanse of hyperspace, possessing the subtle approach of an executioner's blade. Their angular obsidian hulls mirrored the soft luminescence of Exo-Bar's twin suns. Each ship moved in unnerving harmony, suggesting cold-blooded danger. From the Aegis Station observation deck, High Commander Elena March watched in growing horror as the Armada took position above the unsuspecting colony. Her breath hitched as the initial plasma volley erupted toward the planet's surface. "Enemy fleet entering low orbit," Lieutenant Harren announced, his voice tinged with anxiety. "Sensors confirm 37 capital-class ships alongside smaller escort craft." Elena's knuckles whitened, gripping the viewport's steel railing. No diplomatic channels opened, no communication. Harren hesitated, then shook his head. "Nothing, Commander. They came to destroy, not to negotiate." Through the reinforced glass, Elena witnessed the unfolding devastation. The Axelon fleet commenced their assault without preamble, targeting crucial infrastructure throughout Exo-Colony. Massive plasma blasts struck the agricultural domes first, triggering explosions that sent debris cascading over the settlement. The previously pristine structures, essential to the colony's sustenance, collapsed into smoldering ruins. "Redirect all power to planetary shields!" Elena barked. "We need to buy the colonists time!" "They've already deployed quantum interference fields," Harren replied grimly. "No transmissions in or out, no reinforcements." A blinding flash illuminated the viewport as another plasma barrage ripped through the colony's residential district. From the station's external cameras, Elena saw figures, tiny figures resembling ants, desperately seeking shelter as their homes crumbled around them. The feed cut to static as the residential relay was destroyed. 2 million civilians, Elena whispered, the weight of the number pressing on her like a physical force. "They're massacring them, Commander," Security Chief Rogers reported from the tactical station. "The civilian bunkers and their airlocks are still cycling. Not everyone made it inside." Elena's jaw tightened. Every instinct urged her to act, to retaliate, yet the truth was unavoidable. Aegis Station was outmatched. Their defense systems, designed for minor skirmishes and pirate raids, were insufficient against the Axelon fleet. "How many?" she demanded. Rogers glanced at his console. "Thousands, Commander, maybe tens of thousands. Running out of time." Before Elena could respond, the AI chimed in with its detached mechanical tone. "Hull breach detected in sections 12, 15. Emergency protocols engaged." Another impact rocked the station, sending a shudder through the deck. Overhead lights flickered as the power grid struggled. Sparks flew from a nearby console, and Harren barely managed to shield his face in time. "They're targeting the mining complexes now," Harren reported, his voice hollow. "Commander, if they hit the fusion reactors..." The explosion was instantaneous, a blinding flash of incandescent light that engulfed the colony's industrial sector. The shockwave surged across the planet's surface, flattening all in its path. Radiation alarms screamed before the sensors burned out entirely. Through it all, Elena stood frozen, watching her colony, the dream of millions, reduced to ash and rubble. The Axelon fleet's precision was terrifying, each strike calibrated to maximize destruction while minimizing any counteraction. This wasn't merely an attack. It was a message. "Elena!" Harren's voice pierced her daze. "What do we do?" Her mind raced. The Axelon had planned this too meticulously. With the quantum interference field, calling for reinforcements was impossible. And yet, surrender was unthinkable. She turned to her crew, her voice steady despite the chaos. "We survive. We bear witness, and we ensure the Axelon pay for every single life taken." "Elena, they're not even targeting us," Rogers stated. "They're leaving the station intact." The realization struck her like a shock of cold water. They wanted witnesses, survivors who would broadcast the might of the Axelon Empire's dominion. They saw Aegis Station not as a threat, but as a testament to their superiority. Her gaze hardened. "Transmit a secure signal to Earth Defense Command," she ordered. Priority Alpha, encoded under Protocol Epsilon. Harren hesitated. Commander, the interference. Do it anyway, she snapped. We have to try. The station AI immediately responded. Protocol Epsilon transmission initiated. Message integrity compromised. Attempting to bypass interference. Elena stepped closer to the console, her hands trembling as she activated the voice recorder. This is High Commander Elena March of Aegis Station. Timestamp 2030 Standard Galactic Exo-Bar. Our colony has fallen. 2 million civilians presumed deceased. No provocation, no quarter given. Her voice wavered momentarily before continuing. The Axelon Empire believes they have broken us. However, they have made a critical error. She took a deep breath, her next words steady and resolute. May whatever gods they believe in have mercy on their souls, because after this, humanity will not. The Axelon ships began to withdraw, their mission complete. Their engines flared as they vanished into the darkness of hyperspace, leaving only silence in their wake. Through the viewport, Elena watched the burning remains of Exo-Colony. The planet, once teeming with life and promise, was now a tomb. She turned to her crew, their faces pale and stricken. They want us afraid, she stated, but fear can be a weapon, and we will use it. In that moment, as the first embers of defiance ignited in the void of space, humanity's fight for survival truly began. Earth Defense Command's war room was a scene of determined seriousness. The gigantic circular chamber hummed with activity as holographic displays streamed live feeds of Exo-Bar's devastation. Even despite the interference, the broken domes, fiery craters, and ash clouds chronicled the tale of annihilation. Seated at the obsidian conference table, Admiral Victor Aller, a man whose every gesture radiated the weight of Earth's survival, viewed the broken transmission from Aegis Station. High Commander Elena March's voice was controlled, yet burdened with deep fury. This is High Commander Elena March. Exo-Bar colony has fallen. 2 million civilians presumed dead. No provocation. No quarter given. Her words echoed throughout the chamber, quieting the murmurs of Earth's top military and political leaders. The room's tension was palpable. Each person's face conveyed grim acceptance as they digested the unfathomable loss. Admiral Aller leaned forward, his steely gray eyes narrowing. We knew this day would come, he announced, his voice cutting through the stillness like a blade. The Axelon Empire has crossed the line. Counselor Nadia Chen, head of the Earth Strategic Relations Committee, shook her head. We're not prepared for this, Victor. Our fleets are spread thin. Our defenses are overmatched. Not prepared? Aller countered, his tone more biting. That is precisely what they wish us to think. He gestured toward the central display, which shifted to reveal a clandestine installation deep within Earth's asteroid belt. The station was vast, a fortress of metal and light bristling with weapons and docking bays. Ladies and gentlemen, Aller began, rising to his full height. Behold Project Black Veil! The room erupted into hushed conversation and gasps. Even the senior commanders exchanged confounded looks. Black Veil was a name whispered only in secret, a hypothetical contingency plan from humanity's darkest chapters. What is this? Counselor Chen demanded. A secret base! This is madness! No, Aller retorted firmly, his voice conveying decades of preparation. This is survival. He tapped a control on his wrist, and the hologram zoomed in on the base. Rows of ships, unlike anything the galaxy had witnessed, sat within its vast docking bays, sleek, angular designs bristling with experimental weaponry. Their dark hulls seemed to drink in the surrounding light. These are the Phantom-class battlecruisers, Aller stated, his voice calm yet resolute. Quantum phase drives, dark matter shielding, and weapons capable of surpassing any known defense. They've been in development since our initial contact with alien life. While the galaxy believed us to be simple farmers and merchants, we were preparing. You have been deceiving the galactic community, Chen accused, her voice faltering. This could shatter every treaty we've ever ratified. Good, Aller responded without hesitation. The Axelon just slaughtered 2 million of our people. Treaties don't protect us. Strength does." The room was silent as Aller's words settled in. He continued, slowly pacing around the table. "When the Axelon attacked, they thought they were ending us. But they have only given us a reason to remove our disguise." The display shifted again, this time showing simulations of the Phantom-class ships in action. Giant plasma beams tore through enemy vessels with precision. Shields designed to withstand planetary bombardment collapsed instantly under concentrated barrages. The assembled leaders stared in stunned silence as the simulations played out. "This is the culmination of 30 years of planning," Aller stated. "Every publicly revealed ship, every shared piece of technology has been a strategic fabrication. While they observed our perceived advancement, we surpassed them. We feigned weakness while growing into something they cannot grasp." The magnitude of Aller's revelation hung heavily in the air. Humanity was not just ready to defend itself. It was prepared to retaliate in ways the galaxy had never dreamed of. Counselor Rodriguez, a practical man known for his cautious nature, at last spoke. "You're proposing war, Admiral. A war against an empire that eliminated an entire colony within hours." Aller countered, "I propose survival. If we don't act with strength, they'll perceive weakness and see us as prey. The galaxy is watching, and this is our chance to demonstrate humanity's true nature." The room fell still, heavy with the decision. Aller was acutely aware of the weight. This wasn't just about Exo-Bar or the Axelon Empire. It was about a precedent, about ensuring that no other species ever dared to challenge humanity's might. A subtle chime interrupted the quiet. The holographic screen flickered, bringing Commander Elena March's face into view, her expression firm. "Admiral," she stated, her voice cutting through the tension, "the Axelon let us live to spread their message of fear. I suggest we return the favor." Aller permitted himself a rare smile. "Damn right we will," he agreed. Turning back to the gathered council, his voice grew impassioned. "The Axelon Empire desires a message. Fine, let's show them the consequences of threatening humanity." He gestured toward the screen, revealing images of the Black Veil fleet. "Mobilize. Prepare the Phantom-class cruisers. Deploy the first wave and initiate Protocol Revenant." The room sprang into action as officers and strategists scrambled to execute the orders. Aller turned back to March's hologram, his expression hardening. "You've been on the front lines, Elena. You understand the stakes. Are you ready to lead?" March nodded. "I've witnessed their capacity, Admiral, and I know our own. Let's make them regret ever crossing us." As the hologram faded, Aller faced the command table. "The galaxy thinks it knows humanity. They think we're fragile, soft. Time to remind them why Earth's myths are full of monsters and gods." He put his hands on the table, his voice dropping to a near growl. "Release the Phantoms!" The Phantom-class warships emerged from the asteroid belt like shadows from nothingness, their hulls absorbing starlight, rendering them nearly undetectable against the vast black of space. At the heart of the formation was the flagship, the Arbus, its silhouette a silent promise of retribution. Commander Elena March stood on the Arbus's bridge, her hands clasped behind her back as she scrutinized the holographic tactical display. The Axelon outpost loomed, an imposing bastion of metal and energy shields, above the barren moon of Keras Prime. It was their primary logistical hub in this sector, a pivotal node that fueled their military campaigns. Removing it would not just hamper operations, it would send a powerful message. "Status report," March commanded, her voice piercing the bridge's low hum. "Phantom squadrons in position," her tactical officer replied, his fingers dancing over the console. "Stealth systems holding. Axelon has yet to detect us." March nodded, her green eyes narrowing. "Excellent. Maintain it." The plan was daring. Utilizing their advanced stealth, the Phantoms would infiltrate the Axelon's defensive perimeter, bypassing their automated systems and striking at the outpost's critical infrastructure with surgical precision. It was a mission that would be suicidal for Earth's earlier fleets, but the Phantom-class ships were unlike anything they had previously known. "Commander," her officer announced, "Admiral Aller is on secure channel. Putting him through." Aller's hologram materialized beside the tactical display, his presence as imposing as ever. "Commander March, are we ready?" "We are, sir," she responded. "The fleet is in position, awaiting your final go-ahead." Aller's expression was unreadable. "Remember, Elena, this isn't solely about destroying the outpost. It's about exhibiting to the galaxy what humanity is capable of. No mistakes." March nodded. "Understood, Admiral. We will not disappoint." The hologram vanished. March turned back to her crew. "You have your orders. Begin Phase 1. The bridge came alive as commands cascaded across the fleet. The Phantom-class ships moved with eerie precision, their quantum drives humming softly as they edged closer to the Axelon outpost. The enormous structure bristled with defensive turrets and shield generators, but the Phantom's cloaking systems made them untraceable. "Approaching the outer perimeter," the tactical officer reported. "Axelon defense grid remains inactive." "Launch the drones," March ordered. From the Arbus's launch bays, a swarm of stealth drones exploded into the void, each no larger than a human fist. These were Spectre-class reconnaissance units, equipped with advanced AI and quantum infiltration modules. As they darted toward the outpost, their mission was clear: disable the enemy sensor network and create a blind spot for the fleet. "Drones in position," the comms officer announced, "initiating electronic interference." On the tactical display, the Axelon sensor grid flickered, then went dark. The outpost's automated systems were blinded by the drones, the sophisticated jamming protocols having failed to detect the approaching fleet. "We're through," the tactical officer confirmed. "They still don't see us." March allowed herself a small smile. "Perfect. Bring the Phantoms into attack formation. Target their shield generators and power cores." The Phantom-class ships began to spread out, their dark hulls seamlessly blending into the void. Their advanced weaponry came online, each weapon system calibrated for maximum efficiency against the Axelon defenses. "Commander," the comms officer said, "incoming transmission from Captain Reyes aboard the Shadowblade. Patching it through." Reyes's face appeared on the secondary display, his expression grim but resolute. "We are in position, Commander. Permission to engage." March glanced at the tactical display one last time, confirming the fleet's alignment. "Permission granted. Show them what we are made of." The first shot originated from the Shadowblade, a pinpoint energy beam that sliced through the outpost's primary shield generator. The Axelon defenses sprang to life, alarms blaring across their communication channels, but it was too late. The Phantoms struck like a pack of predators, their weapons precise and devastating. "Target neutralized," Reyes reported, as the shield generator erupted in a blinding burst of light. "Good work," March said. "Focus on the secondary generators." "We're not finished yet." The Axelons scrambled to retaliate, deploying interceptors from the outpost's hangars. However, the Phantom-class ships were too fast, too agile. The interceptors' plasma bolts streaked harmlessly through space as the Phantoms weaved, countering with devastating precision, their strikes leaving the enemy forces in tatters. "Commander," the tactical officer announced, "Axelon fleet is mobilizing. We've detected reinforcements inbound from the neighboring sector." March's jaw tightened. She'd anticipated this. "How long until they arrive?" "5 minutes, ma'am." "That's all the time we need," she replied. "Redirect all firepower to the power cores. Let's end this." The Arbus and its sister ships converged on the outpost, their weapons unleashing a coordinated barrage that ripped through the remaining defenses. Explosions rippled across the structure as critical systems failed, sending debris spiraling into the void. "Power cores are destabilizing," the tactical officer reported. "Chain reaction imminent." "Pull back the fleet," March ordered. "We don't want to be caught in the blast." The Phantom-class ships retreated with the same precision as throughout the operation, their engines flaring as they moved beyond the outpost's blast radius. Moments later, the structure erupted in a massive explosion, a brilliant flash of light illuminating the surrounding darkness. On the Arbus's bridge, the crew erupted in cheers, but March remained focused. "Status on the reinforcements?" "They're entering the system now," the tactical officer said. But the outpost is gone. They've nothing to defend. March allowed herself a small smile. Mission accomplished. Transmit the footage to Earth Defense Command. Let the galaxy see what happens when you challenge humanity. As the Phantom-class fleet vanished into the void, leaving only devastation, March knew the message had been sent. The Axelon Empire had struck first, but humanity had retaliated, harder. This was only the beginning. In the Imperial Citadel, the Axelon Empire's War Council convened, a vast fortress of obsidian and steel atop the volcanic cliffs of Voral Prime. Within the Grand Chamber, holographic displays projected the destruction of the Exo-Bar colony and the aftermath of the Phantom Fleet's assault on Keras Prime. The room was silent except for the soft hum of tactical systems and soft murmurs of disbelief. High Chancellor Erx Vus sat at the head of the table, his emerald eyes faintly glowing in the dim light. His dark, plated armor shimmered with intricate engravings, denoting his rank and lineage. Around him, the Empire's most powerful military minds shifted uneasily. "This is unacceptable," General Korth growled, his claws tapping the table. "A single human fleet, or at least a shadow of a fleet, dismantled one of our primary outposts. How did this happen?" "They caught us off guard," responded Admiral Tylex, her voice sharp but measured. "Their technology far surpasses our understanding. We underestimated their capabilities." Erx leaned forward, his voice cold and deliberate. "Underestimated," his tone sending a chill through the chamber. They were little more than a fledgling species, fumbling with rudimentary warp drives. Now, they are tearing through our defenses with ships and weaponry that defy everything we know. How does this occur?" Admiral Tylex hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "It appears the humans have been concealing their true strength, High Chancellor. Their fleets, their weaponry. It is as if they were designed specifically to counter us." "Counter us?" Korth's growl intensified. "Are you suggesting they've been planning this?" Admiral Tylex nodded. "It's the only explanation. Their actions have been exact, calculated. The destruction of Keras Prime wasn't merely an attack. It served as a statement. They're signaling their readiness for warfare." The room went quiet as Erx absorbed her words. Rising from his chair, his imposing frame cast a long shadow over the chamber. "Then we shall respond in kind to their message," he declared. He activated the central holographic display, shifting it to reveal the Axelon fleet's current positions across numerous star systems. "Prepare Task Force Eternus. We will quell this rebellion before it spreads." Meanwhile, aboard the Arbus, Commander Elena March and her crew were already preparing for the unavoidable counterattack. The vessel was stationed at Ardon Station, a clandestine base constructed within the hollowed-out remains of an asteroid. Engineers toiled tirelessly, repairing and resupplying the Phantom fleet, while March studied the latest intelligence reports within the war room. "We've struck them hard," stated Lieutenant Marcus Vane, her second-in-command. "But they're not going to accept this passively. The Axelon will unleash everything they possess upon us now." March nodded, her gaze fixed upon the holographic map of Axelon-controlled space. "Precisely what we desire, Lieutenant. If we can lure them into a decisive engagement, we can shift the war's trajectory in our favor." Vane raised an eyebrow. "A decisive engagement against the Axelon main fleet? That's quite a gamble, Commander." "Not if we choose the battlefield," March asserted, her voice resolute. "The Arbus is outfitted with experimental gravtech. If we can draw their fleet into the Valdus Rift, we can exploit the gravitic anomalies to negate their numerical advantage." The Valdus Rift was a perilous region of space, a labyrinth of collapsed star remnants and volatile wormholes. It was a place no sensible fleet would willingly enter. However, that's what made it the ideal trap. "And how do we convince them to follow us into the rift?" Vane inquired. March allowed herself a small smile. "We make them believe they are winning." The Axelon response arrived faster than predicted. Task Force Eternus, led by the dreadnought Eviscerator, emerged from hyperspace near Ardon Station. The fleet's sheer magnitude was staggering, featuring dozens of warships bristling with weaponry, supported by squadrons of interceptors and bombers. "Contact! Multiple Axelon signatures exiting hyperspace," the tactical officer announced. March strode onto the bridge, her expression calm but focused. Status? They've deployed their main fleet, Commander. The Eviscerator is spearheading the assault. March narrowed her eyes. Good. Open a channel to the Axelon fleet. Do it. Moments later, Admiral Tylex's image appeared on the main view screen, her expression a blend of contempt and curiosity. Commander March, she stated, her voice laced with condescension, surrender your fleet immediately, and I may consider sparing your lives. March tilted her head, a subtle smirk playing on her lips. Admiral, you didn't journey all this way to engage in negotiations, so let's dispense with the formalities. Tylex's eyes narrowed. Very well. You've made your decision. The transmission cut off, and the Axelon fleet commenced its advance. The battle was ferocious. The Arbus and its fleet weaved through the chaos, their advanced cloaking systems and evasive maneuvers enabling them to strike and vanish before Axelon vessels could return fire. Yet the sheer volume of enemy fire was overwhelming, and the Phantom fleet was steadily pushed back toward the Valdus Rift. Shields at 60%, the tactical officer reported as the Arbus buckled under another barrage. We cannot hold this position much longer. We are not meant to, March responded. All ships, execute Phase 2, retreat toward the rift. The Phantom fleet initiated a retreat, their movements calculated to give the appearance of desperation. The Axelon ships pressed their advantage, eager to obliterate the human resistance once and for all. They're following us, Vane exclaimed, his tone a mixture of anxiety and amazement. They are indeed taking the bait, March affirmed, nodding. They believe we are running. Let them maintain that delusion. As the Phantom fleet entered the Valdus Rift, the Axelon ships hesitated. The unstable gravitic fields made navigation treacherous, and their sensors were already struggling to function. Admiral, the rift is highly unstable. Entering would be extremely dangerous, an Axelon officer warned. Tylex sneered. Allowing them to escape would be far worse. Press the attack inside the rift! The Arbus activated its gravtech, releasing a network of gravitic pulses that disrupted the Axelon fleet's formations. The volatile fields caused their ships to veer off course, colliding with one another, or being drawn into the swirling anomalies. Gravtech is holding, the tactical officer reported. Their fleet is in total disarray. Excellent, March announced. All ships engage at will! The Phantom fleet struck with deadly precision, targeting the crippled Axelon ships one by one. The Eviscerator attempted to rally the remaining forces, but its efforts proved futile. The rift's chaos, combined with the unrelenting assault of the Phantom fleet, proved insurmountable. Admiral Tylex's flagship is retreating, Vane announced. March's eyes hardened. Not this time. Target the Eviscerator, bring it down! The Arbus unleashed its full firepower, its advanced weaponry slicing through the Eviscerator's defenses. The Axelon dreadnought erupted in a spectacular explosion, its destruction marking the end of Task Force Eternus. As the battle concluded, March stood on the Arbus's bridge, surveying the wreckage drifting through the rift. The Axelon Empire's retaliation had been swift and brutal, yet it had also been a catastrophic failure. Message to Earth Defense Command, she declared. The Axelon main fleet is no longer a threat. We are one step closer to victory. And as the Arbus vanished into the void, March knew that the war's momentum had shifted. Humanity wasn't simply surviving, they were prevailing. The victory at the Valdus Rift was a fleeting triumph, but Commander Elena March knew the Axelon Empire would never overlook such a defeat. The shattered remnants of Task Force Eternus were not merely a symbol of the Empire's military prowess, but a warning, a reminder of what could happen when overconfidence clashed with strategic brilliance. And as the Arbus prepared for its next mission, March grappled with an uneasy truth. The war was far from over. On the Arbus's bridge, March reviewed the latest intelligence reports as her command crew worked diligently around her, their focus unshaken despite the grueling pace of the conflict. Lieutenant Marcus Vane approached her console, his face etched with concern. "Commander," he began, "our scouts intercepted an Axelon transmission. It's disturbing." March glanced up from her console. Show me. Vane tapped a few commands, and a holographic display materialized before them. The transmission was grainy, distorted by the encrypted Axelon signal, but the message was clear. The Axelon Empire had deployed a new weapon. It's called the Abyssal Blade, Vane explained. A prototype dreadnought equipped with next-generation weaponry and experimental cloaking systems. It's been spotted near the Oblivion Nexus, a region of space rife with black hole clusters and gravitational anomalies. March frowned. The Oblivion Nexus? That's a death trap. Why would they deploy it there? Vane hesitated. The transmission suggests they're testing its capabilities, but there's more. Our analysts believe it is equipped with a gravitic annihilator, capable of collapsing entire star systems. The room fell silent as the weight of his words sank in. A weapon that could destroy entire systems was more than a tactical threat. It was an existential one. Back on Earth, the Emergency War Council convened in the underground fortress of Arbus Prime, a hidden command center deep beneath the planet's surface. Holographic displays projected the ominous shape of the Abyssal Blade, its jagged design radiating menace. Colonel Jonas Sinclair, leader of Earth Defense Command, paced the room as his advisors debated their next move. The hologram of Commander March loomed over the table, her image transmitted directly from the Arbus. "We cannot ignore this," March stated, her tone firm. "If they finish testing that weapon, they'll use it to destroy everything we've fought for." Admiral Victor Aller, Earth's most seasoned strategist, leaned forward. "You're suggesting we strike now, before we've confirmed its capabilities?" "I am suggesting we do not wait for confirmation," March countered. "The Axelon have demonstrated they're willing to obliterate entire colonies without hesitation. Do you truly believe they will hesitate to use the Abyssal Blade?" The room erupted into murmurs of agreement and dissent. Sinclair raised a hand, silencing the crowd. "What's the plan, Commander?" March's hologram flickered as she outlined her strategy. "The Arbus will lead a strike team into the Oblivion Nexus. Our gravtech systems give us an edge in regions of gravitational instability. We will exploit the anomalies to mask our approach and disable the Abyssal Blade before it can exit the Nexus." Vane's expression hardened. "And if the weapon is already operational?" "Then we destroy it at any cost," March declared. The Arbus slipped into the Oblivion Nexus like a shadow, its cloaking systems shielding it from any nearby Axelon sensors. The region was a swirling chaos of light and darkness, with gravitational tides pulling at the ship's hull. The crew worked in intense silence, their every movement precise and deliberate. "Status report?" March demanded. "Gravtech holding steady," Vane replied. "But the anomalies are putting a strain on the engines. We'll need to be quick." March nodded. "We do not have the luxury of time. What is the Abyssal Blade's position, Lieutenant?" Kara Shale, the ship's tactical officer, projected a graphic map of the Nexus. "Its holding position near the edge of the Event Horizon cluster. Sensors indicate heavy shielding and a fleet of escort ships." March studied the display. The Abyssal Blade was surrounded by Axelon frigates and cruisers. Their formation, a tightly knit and disciplined unit, necessitated that any frontal assault was tantamount to suicide. "Prepare the Nova Lance," March commanded. "We'll leverage the GravNet to disrupt their formation and create an opening." As the crew labored to arm the weapon, the Arbus stealthily drew nearer to the Abyssal Blade. The Axelon vessels betrayed no hint of detecting their presence, their attention firmly focused on the prototype dreadnought. The Arbus then struck without warning, unleashing a surge of gravitic energy. This pulsed across the Axelon formation, tossing ships off course, their shields flickering. The gravitational anomalies wrought havoc on their systems. "Fire the Nova Lance!" March barked, and a blinding beam of pure energy spewed from the Arbus. It sliced through the Axelon defenses and struck the Abyssal Blade's shielding, the impact sending shockwaves that destabilized nearby anomalies. All Axelon ships now began to take notice. "Direct hit!" Shale announced. "But their shields are holding!" March's mind raced. The Abyssal Blade was stronger than anticipated, its experimental shielding absorbing the Nova Lance's power. Another strategy, and fast, was now needed. "Deploy strike teams," March commanded. "We're taking it down from the inside." Captain Malcolm Price, head of the boarding team, looked on the Abyssal Blade's hulking presence as their dropship approached. The vessel was a fortress, armed to the teeth and besieged by Axelon fighters, but Price and his crew stood firm. "Remember the plan," Price reminded, his voice steady. "We get in, disable the gravitic annihilator, and get out. Stick together. Watch each other's backs." The dropship docked with the Abyssal Blade, its magnetic clamps gripping the hull. Price's team acted quickly, cutting through the airlock and entering the ship's interior. The corridors were dark and oppressive, illuminated only by the otherworldly glow of Axelon technology. "Stay sharp," Price whispered. "We're not alone." As they pressed further into the ship, the team faced substantial resistance. Axelon's soldiers, clad in advanced combat suits, fought with ruthless accuracy, their energy weapons cutting through the air. Price's team returned fire, their exosuits enhancing their strength and speed, enabling them to match their enemies. "Keep pushing!" Price shouted. "The core is just ahead!" The team reached the weapons control chamber, a massive spherical room packed with humming machinery. In the room's center sat the gravitic annihilator, its ominous light throbbing in synchronicity with the ship's systems. "Plant the charges," Price ordered. "We need to overload the core." As the team proceeded, alarms blared throughout the ship. Reinforcements were en route and time was against them. "Captain, we have company!" one of the soldiers shouted as Axelon troops stormed into the chamber. Price drew his weapon, shooting at the encroaching soldiers while his team finished their task. The room erupted into chaos. Energy blasts lit up the darkness as the two factions clashed. "Charge is set!" a soldier shouted. "We need to move back!" "Fall back!" Price ordered, covering his team as they retreated. The charges detonated moments later, sending a shockwave through the ship, disabling the gravitic annihilator. As the Abyssal Blade started to disintegrate, the Arbus weaved through the pandemonium, avoiding both debris and Axelon fire. Price's team made their way back to the dropship, their faces grim but resolute. "Mission accomplished," Price reported. "The weapon is neutralized." "Good work," March replied. "Let's get out of here." The Arbus and its fleet withdrew from the Oblivion Nexus, abandoning the shattered remnants of the Abyssal Blade. The Axelon Empire had suffered another devastating defeat, but March knew the war was far from over. The galactic sky burned with the fires of desperation as the Axelon Empire amassed its largest fleet ever seen, over 200 dreadnoughts, thousands of cruisers, and an endless horde of fighters forming an unyielding wall of firepower and ambition. At the heart of this armada floated their flagship, the Oblivion Ascendant, a colossal creation equipped with the terrifying power of an antimatter cascade, a weapon capable of wiping out entire star systems in one destructive blast. Humanity and its allies, battered but unbroken, now faced their ultimate test. Earth's combined forces, coupled with ships from allied alien races once subdued by the Axelon, prepared for their final stand. On the bridge of the Arbus, Commander Elena March watched as the allied fleets materialized from hyperspace, their numbers dwarfed by the Imperial Armada but united in purpose. The command deck echoed with controlled chaos as officers transmitted status reports and outlined the final battle plans. "Commander, all allied fleets are reporting in," Lieutenant Marcus Vane announced, his voice steady despite the mounting tension. "The Zor and Vaxclades, Terran shield brigades and Veon rapid strike fleets have confirmed readiness." March's gaze surveyed the holographic tactical display. Their ships had arranged a defensive formation around Earth's defensive outposts, the last barrier standing between the Axelon Empire and humanity's homeworld. Her voice was resolute as she issued the next command. "We won't survive this by standing still. Initiate Operation Revenant." Silence fell over the bridge as March activated the Blade Eternal, the AI embodiment of Simon Jones's strategic brilliance. The hologram of Jones materialized, his calm and commanding presence filling the room. "The Axelon Empire will anticipate us to defend and retreat," the AI stated, its voice echoing throughout the bridge. "We won't. We'll strike where it hurts the most." The plan was audacious, even reckless. While the majority of humanity's fleet held the line, a covert strike force, captained by the Arbus, would infiltrate the Oblivion Ascendant and neutralize its antimatter. Cascade. The risk was colossal, but the alternative was annihilation. As the Axelon fleet advanced, their weapons released a storm of destruction. Plasma lances and gravitic bursts illuminated the void, creating a symphony of chaos and fire. The Allied forces surged forward. Their ships darted through the pandemonium in a series of coordinated waves. Terran shield brigades deployed large energy barriers, absorbing the initial assault, while Zor and Vax Clades unleashed high-velocity assault drones to disrupt enemy formations. On the Arbus, March relayed rapid commands. Focus fire on their forward dreadnoughts. Break their formation and create an opening! The ship's Nova Lance fired a searing beam of power, slicing through an Axelon cruiser and destabilizing its reactors. Explosions rippled outward, taking 2 more enemy vessels down with it. Commander Elias Grant, leader of the fighter squadrons, reported in over the comms. "We're keeping their fighters tied up, but it's a goddamn swarm out here. If you're going to make your move, now's the time." March turned to the Blade Eternal. "Are we ready?" The AI's holographic form nodded. "The Oblivion Ascendant's defenses have a crucial blind spot, Sector 17A, near their dorsal reactor. If we time this perfectly, we can breach their hull without detection. Execute the plan," March commanded. The Arbus veered away from the main battle, accompanied by a small selection of stealth frigates. The ship's cloaking systems engaged as they slipped through the chaos. The Arbus then docked with the Oblivion Ascendant, its magnetic clamps locking onto the flagship's hull. March spearheaded the strike team, their exosuits gleaming under the faint emergency lighting of the Axelon corridors. "Stay tight," she ordered. "Our objective is the antimatter cascade chamber. Disable the weapon, and we give the fleet a chance." The corridors of the Oblivion Ascendant were eerily quiet, the hum of alien machinery echoing ominously. The strike team moved with precision, their enhanced suits muffling their footsteps. Lieutenant Kara Shale, the team's tech specialist, hacked into a nearby console. "I've located the cascade chamber," she announced. "It's heavily shielded, but there's an auxiliary control station 2 levels down. If I can access it, I can force an overload." "Do it," March replied. "Price, take point." As they descended deeper into the ship, the team encountered resistance. Axelon soldiers in advanced armor emerged from the shadows, their weapons ablaze. The strike team returned fire, their skills and training giving them the upper hand. Explosions shook the corridors as Shale worked furiously to bypass security locks. "I'm in!" she shouted as the doors to the cascade chamber slid open. The antimatter cascade reactor loomed before them, its pulsating core surrounded by a web of energy conduits. Shale approached the control station, her fingers moving swiftly across the console. "This is going to take a few minutes," she warned. "We don't have a few minutes," Price muttered as more Axelon reinforcements flooded into the chamber. "March, we need to hold them off." March nodded, raising her rifle. "Set up defensive positions. We hold this line no matter what." The chamber became a battlefield, the air filled with the deafening roar of gunfire and the crackle of energy blasts. The strike team fought with relentless determination, their exosuits amplifying their strength and speed. Axelon's soldiers fell one by one, but the reinforcements kept coming. "Shale!" March shouted, shooting at an approaching Axelon officer. "Status." "Almost there," Shale replied, her hands shaking as she entered the final override sequence. "Just keep them off me." Back in the void, the battle raged on. The Allied fleet was holding its position, but only just. The Arbus's absence was being keenly felt, and Commander Grant's squadrons were running low on ammunition. "Where the hell is March?" he muttered, evading a plasma bolt that narrowly missed his cockpit. On the bridge of the Terran flagship Iron Vow, Admiral Victor Alla coordinated the defense. "Hold the line," he roared. "If the Arbus fails, we fail." Suddenly, a transmission crackled through the comms. It was March. The plan to extract was set, and with that, the cascade was disabled within the Oblivion Ascendant. The antimatter cascade reactor started to fail. Her system's override initiated a cascading reaction that destroyed the weapon's functionality. "We must evacuate now," March commanded. Her team responded by rushing through crumbling passageways, with explosions erupting, shredding the vessel around them. The Arbus escaped just before the Oblivion Ascendant exploded, a flash of brilliant light. The shockwave spread across the combat zone and tore apart the Axelon fleet. Their flagship was gone, and their control mechanism was wrecked. The Axelon troops began a hasty withdrawal. Cheers exploded from the Allied vessels, a testament to their tough but undeniable victory. On the bridge of the Arbus, March looked toward the remnants of the explosion. The image of her face was bright with the remaining glow. "It is finished," she murmured. The Blade Eternal formed alongside her, displaying its expressionless presence. "This conflict is finished," it stated, "but the Empire will make a comeback." "You have only purchased time for humankind," March acknowledged with a nod. "Then we will use this time to reconstruct, to prepare, and to ensure they never gain the power to threaten us." As the Arbus and its fleet veered toward Earth, the constellations in the sky glowed, radiating a beam of hope. Humanity faced annihilation and was triumphant, but the fight to endure had not finished. And as March looked out at the endless space, a concept burned more intensely than any star. They would never concede.